recording. So, you know, and I might go ahead if it's okay with you guys, I'm gonna mute folks, and then if you want to chat, go ahead and unmute yourself. But sort of based on the understanding that, can you all see the Zoom backend? Is that what you're looking at? Thanks, Jim, for the nod. Based on an understanding that you have at least a basic understanding of Zoom. What this is sort of a level, next level training. Our learning objectives would be to kind of go over an outline of the back end of Zoom, and not go too far into the weeds. This presentation, when I send it out, the recording will include a PowerPoint presentation that has links to stuff that I think is probably just a little bit too far out. So I want to just make sure that we kind of stay on track. We're getting to stuff that's going to be relevant and content that I think you're going to be able to use right away. There's always an opportunity that we could go even to a level 3 training and really kind of get into the weeds with stuff. So let's go ahead and get started. So if you are, and feel free if you'd like to log into your Zoom account, if you have more than one screen, to log into the back end of your Zoom account and kind of follow along or click or play with as we're going along as well. Let me see, I've got the chat up. Oh, just chatting, perfect. And feel free to do that as much as you'd like. There we go. So when you log into Zoom, the first thing, log into the Zoom site itself. Yeah, so if you go to zoom.us, zoom.us right here, that will allow you into the back end of your profile. You need to know your username and your password. But if you don't, I am recording this and you can look at it later. And I might use the spotlight just because it's going to be a little bit easier. So zoom.us. The first thing is if you turn off your camera, right? So I stop my video and it pops up this picture. If you want to be able to do that, you need to put a photo here. I will let you know it has to be pretty small. So if you went through the effort of getting professional photography done, my suggestion would be, use like an online pixeler editor. I've included this link actually in the PowerPoint presentation as well. If you go to image and then image size and at least make the top one 200, that'll make it small enough generally that you can use it. So just a little piece of additional advice, but that'll at least get you an image there. What's going to be really important for you to see is you need to have a pro account. So if you are on your back end and you don't see pro account, that means you're probably in a free account, and you're going to need to put in a BTS ticket in order to make sure that you have the pro account that's assigned to you. You already have one that it's linked up to you. That gives you a meeting capacity of 100. Let me pull out. And I'm also going to include in here, one of the best resources for Zoom is a place called the Zoom Help Center. They have videos, they have SOPs, but they also have live chat. When I was sort of figuring out like, well, can I do this? Or I couldn't find an exact answer for that. The Zoom live chat was really, really helpful. So down here you can, I have mine set to Central Standard Time because that's where I am. I'm in Iowa. So if you're making appointments in this back end, make sure that you know what time zone it's in, because we want to make sure that you're setting those accurately. And then if you ever needed to change your password, you've got a password back here. Let's see. We could take a screenshot of the video and it would look like you're on camera. You can, Gerald. There are people who do that. My colleague Jerry Ford did that, and I was like, why haven't you moved? It's like that episode or that movie Speed, where they just looped the video. Can limits be raised on the fly if we have more than 100? No, Lisa, they won't be able to get in. Justin Harrison actually just did a training recently, and I tried to get in, and I was 101 or 102. Somebody passed 100, and I couldn't get in. So you can edit your password here. The host key, again, that's kind of in the weeds. I did add a link on how to change that if that's something that you want to get into. It's something I have never touched, so I wouldn't worry about it for right now. On to meeting settings. So this is kind of the meat and potatoes of how we set up the back end to fit the needs that we have. So the first section that you go into when you get to meeting settings, it defaults to this meeting tab. There's options for video. So right now I'm doing internal videos, or internal meetings. During TLC, for example, my account was used, I had participants off. Now, the participant setting can override yours. So let's say you have participant videos on. You want the videos to come on when people arrive. If the participant has set it so that their own video does not come up, that will override your option. So even if you have that you want the videos on, if they have on their own personal settings that they don't want the video to come on automatically, their videos won't come on. Kate, I have, hold on one second. I have a profile pic, but why does it show up in some meetings like CUE, but not here, for example? Generally, if you're not logged into your account before you start, it won't show the video, or it won't show your image. And there's a number of things. If you're not actually logged into Zoom, this functionality doesn't necessarily work. So make sure that you're logged into your pro account if you're wanting to use a lot of these features. So audio type, I've always left this as telephone and computer audio simply because some people like to do the call-in, or they're running errands or coming back from somewhere. It just always gives the option, and people can use telephone or use computer audio. Join before host. Again, that's something that I use only when I'm doing internal meetings. If I'm doing external meetings, I generally deselect that so that they have to wait till I arrive. Because if someone has your link, they can constantly just be going into Zoom, and it's your account. So when it's internal, when I'm doing internal meetings, I just leave it on. If it's external, I usually turn it off. Oh, let me click down. Let's see, require passwords for personal meetings. So again, I've added a link here that kind of talks about if you want to password protect things. It again sort of kind of goes into the weeds. I don't think generally for your everyday meetings that you're going to be using that. Mute participants upon entry. So I definitely use this when I'm doing external meetings, or if I know that I'm going to be in a large meeting. I try to make sure it's selected. Obviously, I didn't have it selected for this one. But again, people can, you can then control whether or not people can link, or people can unmute themselves as long as they are a participant. Let me move this. As long as they are a participant, if you had this selected, you would not be able to unmute yourself unless you were a host or a co-host, and we can talk about that a little bit later. The calendar integration, again, into the weeds, upcoming meeting reminder. I've got links to that information if you want to really dig deep into it, but most of it is not something that you're going to use day to day. End-to-end encryption is another security feature that you can add. Again, I've added a link as a resource if you want to, dive into that a little bit more. This is all around chat. So with a chat, for example, for external meetings, leave chat on, but I typically will turn private chat off and file transfer off. So private chat it doesn't allow, for example, Jim Hardy, if he and I are in this meeting together, I can't send a message directly to Jim. The reason that I say turn it off is it's external, and we're hoping that all of the people who are attending in a meeting that are coming in externally are there for the right reasons, but just in case they aren't, they can't harass another individual in the meeting. The other thing is file transfer. So host and participants can both do that if file transfer is turned on. So let me see if I share a file in a meeting. What have I got that's easy?
Hey, Kate, this is Lisa.
Yes,
If you set the play a sound, I may have missed this if you just said it. Does that sound play for everyone or just the hosts?
it does play for everybody. And it drives me crazy, and so I don't have it on.
Okay, good to know. Thanks.
And did I skip that already? For example, if you look in the chat right now, I just put a graphic. It was a page that I liked for something. So I can do an in-file transfer going to the chat and using more. And if you drop down, there's a share file and meeting. But we wouldn't want necessarily to have everybody have that availability to share anything within the classroom or within a meeting. So when I do this externally, I generally turn that off. So in zoom.us log in using our Ashford work email, would we see pro and not basic? Claire, yep. So if you are using your staff account or the one that was assigned to you, not a free account that you set up on your own, it should say pro. And if it doesn't, make sure that you put in a BTS ticket to make sure that they get that plugin put in. So file transfer, feedback, it's locked by an administrator anyway. Display end of meeting experience feedback survey. This is really just more for Zoom. Personal preference if you want to turn it on. Essentially, I think it gives you like a thumbs up or a thumbs down. It allows attendees to grade how their meeting went. I don't have it on, just a personal preference. So co-host. Co-host, I think, is one of the best features for Zoom. What it allows you to do is if you go to everything you kind of manage in a meeting happens through the manage participants. So, for example, let's say I have this meeting really shut down. You can't you can't share your screen, you can't turn your audio on, you can't turn your microphone on, or excuse me, your video on. But Lisa Johnson and I are doing a presentation and I'm the host. I need Lisa to be able to share her screen. If I flip her to a co-host, then she's not held back by what the rest of the participants are held back from. So if you change them to the co-host, they have almost all of the functionality that the host does. So the co-host is a nice way if you really kind of need to shut a meeting down a little bit and you have more than just yourself that you want to be able to talk or share their screen or something like that. It will allow you that availability.
So Kate, this is Lisa again. My question for you there is, can you think of a use case when it's ever an advantage to give someone full host rights, or should only time I've ever done that was with Ben Gossier, and he lost, he wanted to leave the meeting. And so he made me host, but then what happened was the recording stopped when he left, and there were all kinds of quirky things with our transcript. So
I think there's only if you have to leave the meeting would you really ever want to transfer your host responsibility to it. And especially there are challenges around recording. I was at home yesterday and had to do a recording, and I logged in as host. I was having internet issues. I logged in as host on my cell phone just to make sure that if I lost it on my computer, the cell phone wouldn't. Because I had switched it over to data so that nothing messed with the recording. But there would be very few instances where you would need to change the host role. Most likely you would want to just make somebody a co-host. Generally, unless if the meeting's going a while. But not all meetings are recorded either, so.
Cool. Okay, no, that answers my question, because I can't think of a time either that it's advantageous. But you can have as many co-hosts as you want, right?
Yep, you can have unlimited co-hosts. I think at TLC there was one session where there was 9. So, yes. Jim Hardy, there are only 3 levels: co-host, host, and participant. Yeah, within the pro accounts, yep, those are generally the big 3: a participant, somebody who's attending at the whim of how the host is setting it up; the co-host, who would be somebody who's joining you and presenting, and then kind of operate the presentation. For example, if you have somebody who maybe doesn't feel super comfortable with the technology of Zoom, but needs to do a presentation and you're supporting them, you could be a host and then allow them to be a co-host so they can present and feel supported as a host. You're taking care of the recording or not recording, et cetera, the chat.
I'm actually thinking about a situation where the Senate has the people running the meeting and then the senators and then the observers.
Yep.
So it would be nice to have, because you can only have one host at a time, right?
Correct. One host, but you could have 20 co-hosts if you want.
Right. It would be nice to have a fourth level where you weren't giving full control of the meeting to that wide of a group, but you had people able to observe with, that fourth level would let us distinguish the people running the meeting versus the senators versus the observers, given that we can only have one host.
Yeah, well, the host could be, William, or it could be, is it Allie? Allie could be the host. Then William and all the senators could be co-hosts. That way they can mute and unmute themselves, or they can, and then everybody else is a participant, so they can't mute and unmute themselves. They can't share their screen. They can't do anything like that. So that would be
a fourth level would be nice, but I understand there isn't one.
Yeah. Good point. We need to get rolling here. Okay, so allows host to put a attendee on hold. So this is just more so your ability to kind of control the meeting. So if you need to get somebody out of a meeting, you can temporarily boot them out, or it can be permanent. Meeting control bar, you always want that on because you need the meeting control bar to control the meeting. Allow to share Zoom windows in desktop sharing. This is all kind of, you need to figure out how much of this you want. I generally just keep them on because they're options at my disposal and I can shut everybody down if I need to. Annotation, so my ability to have this red button here is part of annotation. Annotation also allows me to draw, I don't know. You can do whatever you want, but it might work for instructional purposes. You can share a whiteboard. So if you're trying to map out a theory or supply and demand curve or whatever, you can use whiteboard and annotation features for that. And I can also leave the annotation feature on so I can use it, but then I can shut it down for you guys. If you see your toolbar, I don't believe I have annotation shut down, so you can feel free to try to annotate on the screen if you'd like. Remote control, again, more maybe of a teaching function, so you can have, if I'm working, again, I'm picking on Jim and I are in a Zoom meeting, and he's having some sort of trouble functionality, kind of works a little bit like TeamViewer. I can sort of remote in and have some limited control on his computer. And then nonverbal feedback. So within if you click on the participants list, you have the ability to check yes or no. You can give a thumbs up, thumbs down. You can, give a clapping. So if you want to give some nonverbal responses to the meeting host, you absolutely can. Breakout rooms. So again, we won't go into the weeds too much, but I am just going to put you into a breakout room and then I'll bring you back. But just to share, this is, if any of you went to some of the CETL workshops at TLC, this is one of the features that they use. So let me open those rooms. Great. So those are breakout rooms. They're really fun to play with. you're more than welcome to try those with your team. If you have discussions around a particular topic, or if you have one kind of committee head and multiple small committees that you're discussing, and you want. Allison, that's something that we'll go into a little bit more, but there is an option to do breakouts on the toolbar, the host toolbar. The weeds got it. Too more bullish. The host can join in any room. They don't get like a 10,000-foot view of what's going on in the room. What the CEDL team did is they put an FSDA into each one of the rooms to help moderate any discussion that was happening. But it's kind of a neat way for there to be smaller group discussion if you have a large meeting. Let me keep rolling here. Remote support, closed captioning. So you can have somebody actually go in and type what everyone is saying. I type fast, but not that fast. Far end camera control. Again, it's really only something if your camera has like pan, tilt, zoom options, but I don't think you'll see it all that much. The virtual background, again, only works if you have a green background. So for example, I am going to, where's my virtual background? If I had a green screen, you would see the San Francisco Bridge behind me, and me in front of it, but I don't, or this, or this, or this. But that's something that you could kind of jump into and play with a little bit. Oh gosh, I need to turn that off. Video I don't want that on anymore. None. It does, so the webinars have an option to automatically, Debbie, to your question, do they automatically do a transcript and closed caption? The webinars have that feature, but the pro accounts do not. So virtual background, yeah, some of this auto answer, kind of in the weeds, HTML. Their email in general is not great. I wish they would kind of update it, but that's locked by admin anyway. This is just allowing your users to choose their audio preferences. Screen sharing, I would leave on. You can always, again, sort of a third level sort of shut down. Attention tracking, it really kind of only works if you have people registered. But I mean, attention tracking essentially says if my cursor is on this screen, that I'm paying attention. But if my cursor is not on the Zoom screen, it says that my attentive score has gone down. Little does it know that I'm working on 3 screens. So join from browser. Yeah, some of this is, we just need to keep rolling here because we're running out of time. Email notifications. I think that this one is nice. I generally have, and we'll go to recordings next, I generally have all of my recordings go to the cloud. You do need to pull them down within 30 days. I would just pull them down sooner than that so you don't forget about them if you need them. But it'll send you an email when the video is ready to be pulled down or to shared, which is nice, and you don't have to keep checking back. But I have, videos take up so much memory that I try not to have them downloaded to my local. Meeting is canceled. Yeah, some of that isn't too far into the woods. So into the weeds. So, and the recording feature, no, go to recording. That's schedule a meeting. Thank you. So I had the local recording disabled because we used my account for the Teaching and Learning Conference, and I didn't want people to download the videos to their computer. I wanted them to stay in the cloud so we could retrieve them. So I have the cloud recording engaged. You can have both. You don't have to choose one or the other, but I don't want to do the local recordings. I generally do record active speaker with shared screen. So how this recording will come out is my shared screen will be big, and there will be a little bitty thumbnail that has me talking or anybody else who clicked. It's going to record the active speaker. So when Lisa unmuted herself and shared, she is now the active speaker. So it will show her and then flip back to me when I start talking. Save chats. Again, totally up to you. Add timestamps. If you want to, you can. The one thing you will need to have record thumbnails when sharing. Otherwise, if you just record active speaker with shared, that's just how you want the person talking to be recorded. This will actually put it on the recording. And then I optimize for third party because I generally put it into YouTube. Go ahead, somebody's unmuted. Was there a question? Nope, okay. All right, so the next thing I wanted to go through is when we're scheduling a meeting, there's a number of ways that you can schedule a meeting, but this is just kind of a basic one. We're gonna talk about, quickly go through how to brand a registered meeting and then show you where those reports are once they register. Let me pull the chat up, just make sure there aren't any questions. So Kelly, the transcript, again, is just, there's an automatic transcript that happens for webinars, which are the 500 seat license. There's only like 2 of those within the institution. Those will have an actual, it can actually even play right along with the video as it's going. Oh, looks like Lisa answered. Okay, great. My meeting, so.
Actually, Kate, we were just kind of going over the best ways to record. I think that's something that a lot of us are interested in. And like what I found is recording to the cloud, I can still download the individual audio, video, as well as the chat text file. But because I only have meeting capacity, I never get a transcript. But when uploading to YouTube, you can then annotate and use transcripting there. It's just is there an easier way?
Nope.
Ah, darn.
No, that's essentially the same process that I would follow. Yeah. So this is my meeting, so you can title it whatever you want, obviously. We're going to talk about being awesome. Again, my time zone is set at Central Standard Time, but you can change it and you can make it for up to 24 hours. The key to having a branded meeting and to get some reporting is that you have people register for it. So when they register, you can get reporting data, but you can also brand that invite as well. So the host, again, this is completely up to you. Host video is on when it starts. Video, participants video is on. Usually always have both. Gives you some options. Sure, we'll do mute participants upon entry. I'm going to show you what the branding means, Allison. Give me just 1 second. So personal meeting ID, generally not. Enable waiting room. Unless you want to personally bring each individual person into the meeting, don't click waiting room. Record the meeting automatically in the cloud. If you have a big thing coming up and you're afraid you're going to forget to record it, use that as an option. Advanced options as far as alternate hosts, that's again into the weeds. So we save this and then we can go into doing a little bit of branding. So in the branding, you can put, I'm just going to put, what am I going to put? I'm going to put an AU banner, but you can put like your, if you have a program banner, a college banner, or whatever you want into there. And then again, you can, maximum is 400 by 400. So I already have a reduced image of myself. So let's find that one. I should have it marked reduced pic size. So we've got the branding there. Just going to go to registration real quick. Let's say I want to close the registration event after. That isn't a big deal. But let's say I want a little bit more information on the people who are attending. So maybe I want industry and maybe job title. And let's go ahead and make those required. And then I want one question. I just want them to pick an option. PB or jelly. I'm just making stuff up here. PB, jelly. And we're going to create that. We're going to save it. So then,
Kate, your example is really good to make a point here, because like the registration for TLC, we had to choose faculty, staff, other, and those are pretty delineated, but sometimes I've had these and then you can't do multiple select, right? It's just one or the other. So if I want PB and jelly, I've got a problem.
If you want PB and jelly, you are out of it. Yeah, it's limited functionality, but it does give you at least that option, or you can do short answer. So if you said, what do you want to choose, PB or jelly, and they could fill in the answer, PB or jelly. So this is our registration link. So let's click on that, and it should show us what our completed account looks like. So it's got AU branding. We've got the speaker image of who's going to be talking. We've got our industry question listed here. It gives gives options for us for industry, and those are set. So if you want it to be fill in the blank, you would do a fill in the blank one. PB and jelly, come on. So we're going to choose PB, and then job title, you have to fill in something. So that's just, you could do a little bit more elaborate branding when it comes to webinars, or the webinar license, which is the 500 seat, but there is some functionality within that. Where do we do that? Yep, so let's go back. So again, this is only if you make it a meeting that people register for. So just below, once you hit save, just below, you've got this functionality down here. Email settings, you know, if I created this for Allie, for example, I would, I'm on her account for some reason, but I want the emails to come to me. Then we save those. I can change that to make, you know, myself or somebody else the email contact. Branding happens here, and it gives you what size. Come on, delete. It gives you the size that the image can be. And then this is also where you would put in your polling. So polling within meetings happens on the back end, not on the front end. So we could do multiple questions. We could do a single question, however makes the most sense to you. So then over in reports, so we're on the file side on the left-hand menu under reports. Typically, if you want to pull a registration report, so let's say a day before a big event is coming, you want to pull the registration report for a particular meeting, you can do that, and then send emails to those specific individuals who have registered. The other option is usage. So you can pick the time frame that it happens. So I'm going to use the time frame during TLC because I know I for sure had people who registered for those. And then over on the right, and I don't know why it's being so funky. So for day room, we had 111 participants. So it gives you when people logged in, how long they were logged in, but you can also export it to show unique users. So let's say it was a 3-hour event and people logged in and out 4 times. If you show unique users, what that will do is just cut down if, you know, Rex K logged in 3 times. We just want to know who the attendees are. You can export that. It exports in a CVS, but you can save it as an Excel doc. And that's the quick and dirty of the outline of the basics of setting up your room, how to brand a registered event, and then how to pull reports. If it makes sense, if you guys feel like you would like to do even like another next level one that kind of goes a little bit deeper, like into breakout rooms and stuff like that, we absolutely can spend time on that as well. If you want to, there's another training happening on Monday, but other than that, I am going to send out an email that's going to include the PowerPoint presentation, the recording to this, and a couple question survey just to see if we've at least accomplished what we had set out to with our learning objectives.
Katie,
and
one thing that's been addressed before
yes.
is chat, but it just seems really strange to me. So I can see right here when my video is not on, all it says is my name, or not even my name, it's my email. But when I log in to my account, I see my picture, and I don't understand why they're not syncing.
Because you're not logged into the system. It's like you can get getting a notification from Gmail and then going to Gmail and having to log in to actually see the full product. So if you're logged in, it's going to keep you logged in. And here's also something that we discovered. that I didn't realize that people are getting a little bit confused about. Let's say that you're logged in on Chrome, but when you click a link, it defaults to Firefox, and you're not logged in on Firefox. It's not going to work. You have to be logged in on the browser that you have to be logged in on the browser that you are opening it in. So if you're not logged in Chrome, shows now, yeah. So you just have to be logged in. You have to be logged into the account. You have to be logged into the browser that you're opening the Zoom meeting in, and that will bring up your picture. Otherwise, you're going to be either your Gmail account or just your name. Or excuse me, your Ashford account, not Gmail. Your Ashford account or just your name. Any other questions? What did you say the ideal parameters for pics? I would say if you shrink it down to your max number being 200, I haven't had any problems getting that uploaded, both into your profile or if you're branding. Do the recordings record all video and audio from all cameras attached? I do not have it set up that way. So you can record in gallery view, but I don't. I record the main screen here and then active speaker. Okay, well, if you guys need me, my email is on the invite. Please reach out. If there's something kind of specific that maybe you didn't feel totally comfortable asking in this environment, just reach out to me. We can go over it one-on-one and I'll walk you through, because I want everybody to feel comfortable using Zoom. Okay, thanks everybody.